He thought I was clueless. My husband whispered secrets, but I could read lips. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. It started on a Tuesday night. Nothing dramatic, just one of those evenings when the house feels too quiet, like it's holding its breath. I had curled up on the couch with a book, pretending to read, when I heard my husband's voice from the kitchen. It wasn't unusual for him to take calls late, but the tone was different this time. Low, careful, almost like he was afraid of being overheard. I glanced up and caught sight of him, his back turned to me, head bent close to his phone. His hand covered part of his mouth, but not enough. Most people wouldn't have noticed. Most people wouldn't have understood. But I'm not most people. I've been able to read lips since I was 12, thanks to years of sitting in the back row of classrooms, teachers mumbling, and me stubbornly refusing to be left behind. At first, I thought I was misreading. She doesn't know. Clueless. His lips formed the words slowly, almost lazily, like he was savoring them. My stomach tightened. Who was she? Who was clueless? I shifted slightly, angling myself so I could see better, heart hammering against my ribs. He laughed softly, his lips curling into a smirk I'd never seen directed at me. Then the words came clearer this time, etched into my mind as if burned there. Money's already moved, she'll never find it. I froze. The room around me blurred, the book sliding off my lap. My husband, the man who held my hand at our wedding, who kissed my forehead when I cried, who promised me forever, was whispering secrets about me, about money, about lies. And he thought I was too blind, too naive, to notice. I didn't breathe, didn't move, just watched as he ended the call, stretched, and walked back into the living room with that same practiced smile. Long day, he said casually, kissing my forehead like nothing had happened. I smiled back, because what else could I do? But inside, something cracked. And in that fracture, a cold certainty formed. I wasn't clueless. I had seen, I had read, and I would never unhear those words. But the worst part? That was only the beginning. Because the next night, I caught him whispering again, and this time, the secret was even darker. The following night, I didn't even pretend to read. I sat in the living room with the TV humming in the background, my eyes on the flickering screen, but my ears tuned to every sound from the kitchen. My husband moved around, pacing, his voice low again. I already knew the rhythm now, the cautious tone, the quick glances over his shoulder. He was comfortable enough to assume I'd never catch on. When his lips started forming words, my chest tightened. Meet her tomorrow. Hotel at 7. My heart skipped a beat. Her. The same he'd mentioned before. I swallowed hard, willing myself not to react. Then he added something that made my skin crawl. Don't bring anything, just yourself. I'll handle the rest. I gripped the arm of the couch so tightly my nails dug into the fabric. A hotel? Tomorrow? The words painted a picture in my head that I wanted desperately to erase. I wanted to storm in there, rip the phone out of his hand, demand answers. But something stronger stopped me. The certainty that if I revealed what I knew too soon, he'd bury the truth deeper, and I'd lose any chance of exposing him. So, I played my part. When he strolled back in, his face casual, his tone light, I asked if he wanted tea. He nodded, smiling like the faithful husband he pretended to be. I stirred honey into his cup, careful not to let my shaking hands show. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay beside him in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. Who was she? A mistress? An accomplice? And what was he handling at a hotel? Money? Affairs? Something worse? By morning, I had made up my mind. I wasn't going to sit in silence anymore. If he had a meeting at 7, then so would I. I would be there, quiet, unseen, and watching. And for the first time, I prayed my ability to read lips would not only confirm my worst fears, but give me the weapon I needed to fight back. Because whatever secret he was whispering about this woman, I was going to uncover it, no matter how much it destroyed me. But when I finally followed him to the hotel, what I saw wasn't just betrayal. It was something far more dangerous. The rain made it easier to follow him without being noticed. He left the house at 6:30, dressed sharper than usual, his phone glued to his hand. I stayed a few car lengths behind, my palms sweating on the steering wheel, my heart pounding so loudly it felt like it might drown out the sound of the wipers. He pulled up to a mid-range hotel downtown. Not the kind of place for business meetings, but discreet enough for affairs. My chest ached just looking at the glowing sign. I parked across the street, close enough to see but far enough to stay invisible. At exactly 7, she appeared. A woman in a red coat, long dark hair falling past her shoulders. She didn't look nervous. She looked comfortable, like this wasn't their first time. My stomach turned as I watched her smile when he stepped out of the car. He leaned in, brushed her cheek with his lips. Not a kiss, but close enough. My nails dug into my palms. They walked inside together. I waited a few minutes, then slipped out of my car, pulling my hood low. My pulse hammered as I entered the hotel lobby, praying no one would notice me. The receptionist barely looked up as I lingered near the lounge. There they were, at a corner table, whispering. His back was half turned to me, but her face was clear. Her lips moved, and I read every word. The transfer went through. He won't suspect a thing. He leaned closer, his lips brushing her ear as he whispered back. I strained to catch it, and when I did, my knees nearly buckled. She's too stupid to figure it out. By the time she knows, it'll be over. My throat burned, rage surging through me like fire. He wasn't just betraying me with another woman. He was plotting something. Something involving money, lies, and my supposed ignorance. I forced myself to stay still, to breathe, to keep my cover. If I reacted now, it would all vanish. The chance to know the full truth, to get proof. I couldn't afford to be impulsive, not when the stakes were higher than I ever imagined. So I turned and walked out, the storm outside lashing my face, my heart pounding with one thought only. I needed to know everything. And if he thought I was clueless, I would use that lie to destroy him. But the next night, when I tried to spy again, I wasn't the one doing the watching. Someone was already watching me. The following night, I thought I was being careful. I left the house 20 minutes after he did, lights off, hood pulled up, every movement planned like a thief. My heart hammered, but my resolve was solid. I couldn't let last night's discovery end there. I parked a block away from the hotel, ready to sneak in again. But before I even reached the entrance, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. You know that feeling when someone's eyes are burning into you? I felt it, sharp and undeniable. I turned casually, trying not to make it obvious. That's when I saw him. A man leaning against a lamppost across the street, cigarette glowing faintly in the dark. He wasn't looking at the hotel. He was looking straight at me. Panic shot through me. My first thought was that my husband had caught on and sent someone to follow me. My second thought was worse. What if this went deeper than cheating? What if I'd stumbled into something criminal? I pretended to check my phone, forcing my hands not to tremble. Then I walked toward the hotel, my pulse thundering, trying to act normal. I caught one last glance over my shoulder. The man flicked his cigarette to the ground, but didn't move. His eyes stayed on me until I disappeared inside. I spotted my husband in the lounge again, sitting with the woman in red. They looked tense tonight. Her lips formed the words, "dangerous if she finds out." His jaw tightened, his hands clenched. I could only read fragments. Keep quiet, trust me, handled. I wanted to stay, but every nerve in my body screamed that the man outside was still there, waiting, watching, and I didn't know if he was guarding them or keeping tabs on me. I slipped out a side exit, breath sharp, body shaking. The street was nearly empty, rain pooling on the asphalt. But when I reached my car, my blood ran cold. There was a folded note tucked under my windshield wiper. For words written in black ink, jagged and rushed. Stop watching, or else. I sat in my car, drenched from the rain, staring at those 4 words like they were carved into my skin. Stop watching, or else. My hands shook as I crumpled the note, heart hammering against my ribs. Whoever left it knew who I was. They knew I was following. And worse, they wanted me scared enough to quit. For a moment, I considered it. Walking away, pretending I hadn't seen anything. Living in the bubble of ignorance my husband believed I was trapped in. But the thought of his smug smirk, his whispered words about me being too stupid, lit something inside me. Fear twisted into anger. No, I wasn't going to stop. When I got home, he was already there, sitting at the table, scrolling his phone, as if nothing in the world was wrong. He glanced up, smiled that fake smile, and said, "You're late. Out shopping?" His tone was casual, but my skin crawled. He was testing me. Yeah, I lied smoothly, forcing a small laugh. Got caught in the rain. He nodded, not pressing. But when he reached for my hand, I noticed the faint smell of her perfume. Floral, sharp, not mine. My stomach lurched. That night, I hid the note in a drawer under old receipts. I couldn't risk him finding it. But the warning haunted me. Who was protecting him? The mistress? Business partners? Someone darker? The next day, I decided I needed help. But who could I trust? Friends might gossip, family might take his side. Then one name surfaced in my mind. My cousin Anna, a paralegal who'd once mentioned she had a knack for digging into financial records. If money was involved, she might know where to look. I called her, careful with my words. I didn't mention the affair, the hotel, or the note. Just that I had a gut feeling something was wrong with my husband's accounts. She hesitated, then agreed to meet me. But as I hung up, my husband's voice carried from the next room, low and sharp. He was on the phone again. My blood ran cold when I read his lips from the reflection in the window. She's getting suspicious. If she talks, we'll shut her up. I froze in the hallway, my back pressed against the wall, heart slamming against my ribs so violently I thought he might hear it. Shut her up. The words replayed in my mind like a broken record. He wasn't just mocking me anymore. He was planning something. His voice was calm, controlled, but his lips betrayed every syllable. Not yet. We need her quiet until it's done. Done? Done with what? My mouth went dry as I leaned closer, barely breathing. Anna, he whispered, and my blood ran cold. My cousin's name. He knew. I didn't wait to hear the rest. I slipped silently into the bedroom, my body trembling. I sat on the edge of the bed, clutching my phone so tightly my fingers hurt. If he suspected me, if he already knew about Anna, then I was running out of time. When he finally ended the call and came into the room, his face was smooth, unreadable. He kissed my forehead like always and said, "You okay? You look pale." I forced a smile. Just tired. He nodded, changed clothes, and went to shower. I listened to the water running, fighting the urge to scream. He was plotting something that involved money, another woman, and now silencing me. That night, when he finally fell asleep beside me, I texted Anna under the covers. Change of plans. Meet me tomorrow. Urgent. She replied instantly. Got it. Noon. I barely slept. My mind spun with possibilities. Did he have people watching me? Was the man outside the hotel one of them? And if they were willing to shut me up, what did that mean for Anna now that her name was involved? By morning, my decision was clear. I wasn't just going to confront him. I was going to gather every shred of proof before it was too late. But when I arrived at the cafe to meet Anna, she wasn't sitting at our usual spot. Her phone rang once before going straight to voicemail. And then, from the corner of the cafe, I spotted a folded piece of paper with my name written across it. I opened it with shaking hands. One line stared back at me. Anna won't help you anymore. The note slipped from my trembling hands and fluttered onto the cafe table. My stomach lurched, while burning the back of my throat. Anna won't help you anymore. The words were like a blade pressed against my skin. I grabbed the paper and stuffed it into my bag, scanning the room. No one was watching, or at least no one obvious. The cafe was buzzing with chatter, cups clinking, the smell of coffee thick in the air. But for me, everything had gone silent, like I was underwater. I dialed Anna again, straight to voicemail. My fingers shook as I texted. Where are you? Are you safe? Please answer. No reply. Had they gotten to her already? My husband had mentioned her name. Maybe he was bluffing. Maybe this was just a scare tactic. But deep down, I knew this was real. He wasn't working alone, and they were already 2 steps ahead of me. I rushed out of the cafe, half expecting someone to grab me. My eyes darted across the street, searching for that man with the cigarette. Nothing. Just strangers passing by, umbrellas shielding them from the drizzle. But paranoia gnawed at me. Any one of them could be watching. Back home, I forced myself into normalcy. I cooked dinner, asked about his day, even laughed at his fake stories. All the while, I wanted to claw at him, to scream that I knew everything. But I couldn't. Not yet. That night, when he fell asleep, I slipped into the study. His laptop was locked, of course, but his desk drawers weren't. And inside, buried under folders, I found an envelope stuffed with cash and a passport. Not his. A woman's. The mistress in red. My breath caught. Why would he have her passport? Why the money? Was she planning to leave? Or was he planning something darker? Suddenly, the floor creaked behind me. I spun around, heart slamming in my chest. He was standing in the doorway, shadows cutting across his face. What are you doing in here? He asked, his voice low, almost amused. I stammered, just looking for a pen. His eyes flicked to the half-open drawer, then back to me. He smiled faintly, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Next time," he whispered, stepping closer, "you should just ask." His shadow stretched across the floor as he stepped further into the room. My throat tightened, every nerve screaming at me to run, but my feet refused to move. The envelope with the passport and cash lay half-hidden in the drawer, and I could feel his gaze sliding over it like a predator circling prey. "I just needed a pen," I repeated, forcing a shaky smile. My voice sounded too high, too brittle. He tilted his head, studying me. "At midnight? In my desk?" I tried to shrug, to act casual. Couldn't sleep. Thought I'd jot something down. For a long, unbearable moment, he just stared. Then his lips curled into that smirk I'd grown to hate. The same one he wore at the hotel. "You're not as innocent as you look, are you?" he said softly. His tone was almost playful, but his eyes were cold, sharp. I forced myself not to glance at the drawer again. If he saw fear, it was over. So I laughed lightly and brushed past him, muttering something about tea. His hand shot out, catching my wrist. The grip was firm, too firm. "You've been restless lately," he whispered, leaning close. His breath brushed my ear, and my stomach twisted. "If there's something on your mind, you can tell me." I swallowed hard. "It's nothing." He released me, but not before squeezing just enough to leave a faint ache. "Good," he said, stepping back. "Because secrets, they ruin people." I escaped into the kitchen, pretending to make tea, my hands trembling so badly I spilled water on the counter. He lingered in the doorway for a moment longer, watching, then finally disappeared back into the bedroom. I clutched the counter, my chest heaving. He knew. Maybe not everything, but enough to start testing me. And if I slipped, if I revealed too much, he'd crush me before I had a chance to fight back. I needed leverage. Proof. Something undeniable. The next day, I reached out to a private investigator Anna once mentioned. A woman named Carter. Meeting her felt dangerous, but I had no choice. And when Carter ran her first check, she didn't just confirm my husband was hiding money. She uncovered something far darker. He wasn't just betraying me. He was building an escape plan with someone else's name on it. Carter looked nothing like the trenchcoat detectives you see in movies. She was sharp, efficient, and blunt, her eyes scanning me like she could measure truth and lies at a glance. We met in a quiet diner on the edge of town, the kind of place where no one asks questions. "You're smart to come to me now," she said, sliding her laptop open. "But you should have come sooner." Her words stung, but I stayed quiet, gripping my coffee cup like it was the only thing grounding me. She tapped a few keys and turned the screen toward me. "Your husband isn't just hiding money. He's laundering it." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "He's moving funds through shell accounts. Some under his name, some under hers." She clicked, showing me a scanned passport, the same one I'd found in his desk. The mistress in red. My chest tightened. Carter leaned closer. "This isn't just an affair. It's fraud. And the amounts, we're talking hundreds of thousands. Maybe more." I felt dizzy. My entire marriage, my entire life, it wasn't just betrayal, it was a crime scene. "Why her?" I whispered. "She's the funnel," Carter replied flatly. "She's the one moving the money overseas. Without her, he's exposed." I sat back, my pulse racing. It all made sense now. The secret meetings, the whispers, the envelopes of cash. He wasn't planning to leave me for her. He was planning to use her to disappear. Carter closed the laptop. "You need to be careful. Men like him don't leave loose ends. And right now, you're the biggest loose end of all." Her words sliced through me. I thought of the man with the cigarette, of Anna's disappearance, of the note on my car. This wasn't paranoia. I was being watched, controlled, silenced bit by bit. But then Carter slid a small flash drive across the table. "This is what I've gathered so far. Enough to rattle him. Not enough to ruin him. Yet." I picked it up, tucking it into my bag with shaking hands. My heart pounded with a strange mix of fear and adrenaline. For the first time, I had proof. A weapon. But that night, when I got home, the drawer where I'd hidden Anna's note was empty. Someone had been in the house, and they knew exactly what I was hiding. The drawer was open just a fraction. Enough for me to notice. Enough for my blood to run cold. I always shut it completely, always. I pulled it open, my fingers trembling. The receipts were still there, but the note, the one with 4 words scrawled across it, was gone. My throat tightened. Someone had been in the house. In my sanctuary, I glanced toward the bedroom where my husband's soft snoring drifted down the hallway. Was it him? Had he searched while I was out? Or worse, did someone else have access to this place? Someone he let in when I wasn't around? I forced myself to move calmly, quietly. I slipped into the kitchen, checked the back door. Locked. Windows latched. Nothing broken. Whoever it was hadn't forced their way in. They had a key. The realization made me sick. That night, I barely slept. Every creak of the floorboards, every shift of the house made me flinch. I clutched my phone under the blanket, the flash drive from Carter hidden inside my pillowcase. If they came for that too, I'd have nothing left. In the morning, my husband was his usual self, charming, smiling, asking if I wanted pancakes. I studied him as he moved around the kitchen. His casual humming, the way he whistled while flipping batter. He looked like a man who had nothing to hide. But I knew better. Halfway through breakfast, he leaned across the table, eyes glinting. "You've been distracted lately. Everything okay?" I forced a smile, stabbing a piece of pancake. "Just work stress." He nodded, pretending to believe me, but something lingered in his stare, something sharp, watchful. Later that afternoon, I called Carter from my car. "Someone's been inside my house," I whispered. She didn't hesitate. "Then you're in more danger than you realize. Listen, trust no one, not even your reflection. If he knows you're onto him, he won't hesitate." Her words echoed in my head as I drove home. But when I pulled into the driveway, my stomach dropped. Sitting on the porch was a small box, tied with a black ribbon. No note, no address. Just waiting. I carried it inside with shaking hands. Opened it. Inside was Anna's bracelet, the one she never took off. And underneath it, a single word written in bold letters. "Next." The bracelet slipped through my fingers and clinked against the table, its familiar charm catching the light. My breath hitched. Anna never took it off, not even in the shower. Seeing it here, in a box wrapped like a gift, was worse than a threat. It was a message. My hands shook as I unfolded the paper beneath it. Next. Just 4 letters, but they felt like a noose tightening around my throat. Whoever left this wanted me to know Anna was gone, and I was next in line. I stumbled back from the table, while rising in my throat. My first instinct was to call the police, to scream everything I knew. But what could I even say? That my husband was laundering money with his mistress, that a mysterious man had been following me, that my cousin had vanished, and someone just delivered her jewelry to my doorstep? Without proof, they'd think I was hysterical. Or worse, they'd warn him. I grabbed the flash drive Carter gave me and tucked it deep into my boot, where even he wouldn't think to look. My phone buzzed just then, and when I checked the screen, my stomach lurched. It was a text from my husband. "On my way home. Don't go anywhere." The words felt like chains locking me in place. I looked at the box again, at Anna's bracelet glinting accusingly up at me. I couldn't stay here. I had to move, to get out before he walked through that door. I stuffed the box back together, shoving it deep into a cupboard, and grabbed my keys. My heart thundered as I slipped outside, the cool air stinging my face. I drove aimlessly at first, just needing distance, needing to breathe. Finally, I pulled over in a deserted parking lot and called Carter. My voice cracked. "They have Anna. They sent me her bracelet." There was a long silence on the other end. Then Carter's voice, low and grim. "He's escalating. This isn't just about money anymore. You need to decide. Are you ready to bring him down, no matter the cost?" I closed my eyes, tears burning. I thought of the whispers, the smirks, the threats. Of Anna. Of all the lies. My hands curled into fists. "Yes," I whispered. "I'm ready." Carter exhaled sharply. "Then listen carefully. Tomorrow night, you'll set the trap. But you only get one chance." Carter's plan was simple on paper, but deadly if I slipped. "You can't confront him head-on," she warned. "He'll twist everything, make you look unstable. We need him caught in his own words, with proof no one can deny." I met her again the next day, in her cramped office above a pawn shop. She slid a small recording device across the desk. "Slip this somewhere in the house where he feels safe to talk. He's arrogant. Men like him always get sloppy when they think they're in control." I turned the recorder over in my hand, heart pounding. This tiny thing could decide my fate. That evening, I went through the motions like a dutiful wife. Dinner on the table. Polite questions about his day. Forced smiles. He didn't seem suspicious, but his eyes lingered on me a little too long, like he was peeling back layers, testing for cracks. When he stepped into the shower, I moved fast. I slid the recorder behind the framed photo of our wedding day. The one he never looked twice at, the one he liked to brag about to visitors. The perfect couple, he'd say with a smirk. The irony nearly made me gag. Minutes later, I heard him on the phone again, pacing the bedroom. My pulse hammered as I sat in the living room, pretending to read. His voice carried faintly, muffled through walls, but I didn't need to hear it. The recorder was catching everything. She has no idea, his voice rumbled. Anna was dealt with tonight. The last transfer, after that, we're gone. My nails dug into the book cover. Anna was dealt with. The words sliced through me like a blade. My cousin wasn't missing. She was gone. And he had said it so casually, like discussing the weather. I wanted to storm in, to scream, to claw at him until he admitted it to my face. But I stayed frozen, forcing my body to remain still. Every second counted. Every word he spoke was a nail in his coffin. When he finally ended the call, he walked past me, dripping water from his hair, towel slung around his waist. "You look pale," he said, smirking. "Everything okay?" I swallowed hard. "Just tired." He leaned down, brushing his lips against my ear, his whisper soft but chilling. "Don't worry. Soon, all our problems will disappear." And then, as he walked away, I realized the recorder had captured every single word. But when I checked it later that night, the device was gone. I tore through the study like a madwoman, every drawer yanked open, every cushion overturned. The recorder was gone, vanished. My heart slammed against my ribs so hard it hurt. That device had been my lifeline, my only solid proof. Without it, all I had were suspicions and fear. I dropped to the floor, clutching my head, trying to breathe. Had he found it? Had he listened? Did he know I was onto him? When I finally forced myself back to the bedroom, he was already in bed, lying on his side, scrolling his phone with a lazy grin. He looked up at me. "You okay?" I nodded quickly, swallowing the panic clawing up my throat. "Yeah, just looking for something." His grin widened, and for a second, I swear his eyes flickered with amusement. Like he knew exactly what I'd lost. Like he was daring me to admit it. That night, sleep never came. I lay stiff as a corpse beside him, every muscle tense. Waiting for the knife I was sure he'd plunge into my back. By morning, my mind was frayed, stretched thin between terror and fury. I called Carter the first chance I got, whispering from the bathroom with the shower running to drown me out. "It's gone. The recorder. He found it." Her voice was sharp, controlled. "Then he's playing with you. That means he doesn't just suspect, you're exposed. But listen, he made a mistake. If he took the device, it's because it recorded something he doesn't want you, or anyone, hearing. That means he knows he's vulnerable." I gripped the phone tighter. "So what do I do?" There was a pause. Then Carter said, "We don't need him whispering anymore. We'll make him talk. In front of the right people." Her plan was reckless, dangerous, but it was the only way left. Force him into a situation where he couldn't keep the mask on. A public confrontation. A place he thought was safe. I agreed, though dread coiled in my gut. That evening, my husband was unusually sweet. Flowers, wine, even a long speech about new beginnings. I watched him through narrowed eyes, wondering if this was his way of lulling me into surrender, or a prelude to something far worse. Because when I sipped the wine he poured for me, a bitter taste lingered at the back of my throat. The bitterness hit me instantly. Metallic, acrid, wrong. I set the glass down, my pulse racing. He didn't notice at first, too busy swirling his own drink, watching me with that smug half-smile. "Not your favorite?" he asked, feigning concern. I forced a small laugh, pushing the glass away. "Guess I'm not in the mood tonight." His eyes narrowed, just for a second. Then he chuckled and lifted his own glass, sipping like nothing was wrong. But I'd seen it, the flicker of annoyance, the flash of calculation. He wanted me to drink it. He wanted me out of the way. My stomach twisted, but I kept my face calm, my voice steady. "You've been so thoughtful lately," I said, pretending to sound touched. "Flowers, wine, what did I do to deserve this?" He leaned back in his chair, lips curling. "Maybe I'm just tired of you doubting me." His words dripped with double meaning, and I knew then. He was testing whether I'd fall into the trap. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in the dark, listening to his steady breathing beside me, staring at the ceiling, replaying Carter's voice in my head. "We'll make him talk. In front of the right people." The poison glass had changed everything. This wasn't just whispers. lies, or even betrayal anymore. He wanted me gone. The next morning, I texted Carter one word, ready. Her reply came fast, tomorrow, 8 p.m., at the restaurant downtown. Bring him. The plan was brutal in its simplicity. Provoke him in public, make him slip, force the mask to crack where others could hear. Carter would be close, recording everything, with contacts ready to act if things escalated. That evening, I played the part of the doting wife. I suggested dinner out to celebrate us, my voice sweet, my smile practiced. His eyes lit up with a mixture of pride and suspicion. Finally, he said, "You're starting to understand." If only he knew. As we walked into the restaurant, my heart pounded like a drum. Carter sat 2 tables away, pretending to read a menu, her eyes flicking up to meet mine. I clutched my husband's hand, smiling like the perfect wife. But inside, I was steel. Because tonight, his whispers wouldn't stay hidden. Tonight, the world would hear the truth. The restaurant buzzed with clinking glasses and low chatter, but to me it felt like a stage. Every sound was sharp, every movement magnified. My husband sat across from me, his smile polished, his hand resting casually over mine. To anyone else, we looked like a perfect couple. But beneath the table, my nails dug into my palm until I felt pain. Carter was in place, her phone angled just so, the tiny red light blinking. I had one chance to bait him into revealing himself. I leaned closer, lowering my voice. "I know about Anna." His smile didn't falter, but his grip on my hand tightened. "What about her?" "I know she didn't just disappear," I whispered. "I know what you did." For the first time, a crack appeared. His jaw tensed, his eyes narrowing. "Careful," he muttered, the word like a warning growl. I forced myself to keep going, my voice steady despite the terror clawing at my insides. "And I know about the money. The transfers. The mistress." I paused, leaning back with a calm I didn't feel. "You think I'm clueless, but I've read every word you've ever whispered." His smirk faded. He glanced around the room, then leaned across the table, his voice dropping low, but loud enough to carry. "You think you're smart? You think you can ruin me?" His eyes burned with fury. Anna didn't think I'd go that far either. Look what happened to her. Gasps rippled from a nearby table. I felt the blood drain from my face, but Carter's phone was recording, capturing every damning syllable. I met his glare, my voice sharp now. "So it's true. You silenced her." His hand slammed against the table, silverware rattling. "And I'll do the same to you if you don't." He stopped mid-sentence, realizing too late the eyes, the ears, the phones now turned in our direction. Carter stood, her badge flashing as she stepped forward. 2 men followed from the bar, plainclothes officers. My husband's face drained of color, rage giving way to shock. "You set me up," he hissed. "No," I said, rising to my feet, my voice steady for the first time in weeks. "You set yourself up." They cuffed him right there, in front of the entire restaurant. He thrashed, cursed, his eyes locking on mine with pure venom. "This isn't over," he spat. But it was. As they dragged him away, the weight on my chest lifted, replaced by something unfamiliar, relief. I sank back into my chair, trembling but free. Later, Carter sat across from me, her voice softer than ever. "You did it. He's finished." I nodded, staring at my reflection in the restaurant's darkened window. For the first time, I didn't see a clueless wife. I saw someone stronger. Someone who had clawed her way out of betrayal and fear. And though the scars would remain, so would the truth. He thought I was blind, but I'd been watching the whole time.